Good morning, my YouTube viewers. It is Crystal here. This video is going to be lesson 8 of my free intermediate Excel course. And so basically the contents of this video are going to be data validation and form controls. Okay, so we're moving towards the end of the course. After we finish this video, you're only going to have 2 more videos to look at, and then you will have completed the course, Intermediate Excel course. So if you're not sure of the content and you haven't taken the lessons 1 to 7, I would recommend that you go ahead and take lessons 1 to 7 before you take this lesson, because this lesson incorporates information that you've learned in lesson 1 to 7. And if you're new to Excel, then I would recommend before you take this course to take the beginner's Excel course, because that will give you a firm foundation in what you're doing in Excel. So whenever, if you've taken the beginner's Excel course and lessons 1 to 7 in the intermediate Excel course, then you already know how to get into Excel. You already know how to create a file, open a file, amend a file, close a file, delete a file, rename a file. So we're not going to cover that in this video because you should have covered it in previous videos. So we're going to go directly into Excel. Okay, so basically on lesson 5, we did a project timeline, and I said that what I was going to do was I was going to complete the project timeline, because I normally don't do a project timeline. I normally just write out everything I need to do on a sheet of paper and then tick it off as I do it. But since we're doing an Excel course, I created a project timeline, so I decided that I would go ahead and use it. So whenever I have completed this video, then I will have completed lesson 8. So it is the 20th of July. So we're going to say that I've completed the video, because whenever I finish the video, I'm going to upload it onto YouTube and the lesson will be complete. So you can see this is our project timeline. So now that we've completed our project timeline and the lesson will be complete when I finish the video and loaded it onto YouTube, then what we're going to do is we're going to go over to lesson 8. So we're going to click onto the tab that says lesson 8. I asked the question, what is data validation? Data validation is used to define the restrictions on what data can or should be entered in a cell. If the user tries to enter or change data in a cell that doesn't meet those restrictions, he will see a data validation error alert. In Excel, the user can do the following. They can apply data validation to cells. They can create a drop-down list. They can add or remove items from a drop-down list. And they can remove a drop-down list. This is how you apply data validation in Excel. You select the cells to use, choose data, and then data validation. Choose an option in the arrow drop-down menu. Such as date or whole number. Under the Data tab, choose a condition like equal to and values to accept. To add a prompt, enter a title and message for your rule in the Input Message tab. Choose Error Alert to create an invalid data entry message and click OK. So the benefits of data validation are enhanced data quality and integrity, increased efficiency and productivity, enhanced user experience, advanced data validation. Now we're going to discuss form controls, which is also an element of this lesson. Form controls in Excel are interactive charts that allow users to input data, make selections, or trigger actions within a worksheet. Common types of form controls are a button, a checkbox, option button, a list box, combo box, scroll bar, and spin button. This is how you use form controls. Enable the Developer tab. Insert a control by clicking Insert in the Controls group and selecting the desired form control. Place the control by clicking and dragging on the worksheet to place the control. Configure properties by right-clicking the control and select Format Control to set options. Assign macros, if applicable, for buttons or interactive actions. Assign a macro to automate tasks when the control is used. So we've got the benefits of form controls are simplifies data entry and reduces errors, makes interactive dashboards and forms easier to use, allows dynamic control of worksheet values without manual input. So my thinking is much more clearer than my typing. Enhances automation by linking controls to macros. So that's what's going to be covered in this course, in this lesson. So we've got our raw data for lesson 8. So we've got the data that we've been using in previous lessons, but about these fictional characters, but I went and added a few characters as well. So we've got 24 characters that we can use that are employees. We've got written down the region they're in and their sales. And in addition to that, they're going to be selling products. So I decided what they're going to be doing is they're going to be selling smartphones, tablets, laptops, computers, and ancillary equipment. And then we've got the unit price written down as well. So that is our raw data. And what I would recommend that you do is you always keep the raw data. Keep a spreadsheet with the raw data, because something might happen to the data that you're working on. And if something happens to the data that you're working on, you're going to need to go back and take the raw data and do something with it. So that's my recommendation, is you always keep a page with just the raw data on it. So now what we've got is we're going to convert our raw data to a table. And you should have, if you've watched my previous lessons, you will have learned how to convert it to a table. But if you don't remember what we did, you can type Control-T and that will convert it to a table. So let's just say student score. We embolden that. Say Tracy, say 95. And then we'll say Mike, we'll say 70. So what you do is you go on to one of the cells in this little spreadsheet that you made, this matrix that you made, and you can type Control-T, and it's going to be converted to a table. You click onto my table, has headers, and look, you've got a table. So that's basically how you create a table, just in case you have forgotten how to do it. So we've taken our raw data and we've got two tables. So this table is, we have called it employee region, and this table we have called it product plot prices. So we've got our table now. And then so what I've done is I've created a data entry sheet. So this is your sales data entry sheet, sales by employee. So your date, you type 1, you're going to say 1 August 26 on your date. So we've got our date. You've got your employees. I've created a drop-down menu. So what you want to do is, in order to create a drop-down menu, you go to Data, and then you go to see if we can remember what to do. Data validation. No, it's not that. So let's just go back. Obviously, even I can't remember to do it. Says select the cells to choose data, then data validation. Choose an option such as drop down menu. So I did do it right. Just go to employee, but we're going to do another one. We're going to do this one. And then we're going to go to data, and we're going to click data validation, settings, and then you click on to list. That's what you're going to click on, to list. And then it's going to give you some values between. So what we're going to do is you're going to actually go to, you're going to click onto here, and then we're going to say lesson 8, and then you have to pick the list that you're going to be using. And then you click OK. So there you get your drop-down list. That's how you get a drop-down list. So it's data, data validation, and then list. And then you have to pick the data that you're actually going to be using in the list. So region, we use VLOOKUP, and then so basically what you have to do is you have to use your VLOOKUP function, which we've covered in a previous lesson. So V4 is the, so we'll say 1 AUG 26, and then we're going to pick somebody from the list. I'm going to pick Betty Boop. She's in the West region. So it automatically selects West, and that's in VLOOKUP. So VLOOKUP is based on V4, and then it goes to the employee region table, and then it selects the second column of the employee region table, and then false means that you're looking for the exact spelling. So we're going to say customer is going to be a hairdresser. So Betty Boop is going to sell, her customer is Betty's hair salon. And then so we go to product, we have another drop down menu, and we're going to say a laptop. We're going to say a Windows laptop. And then so basically we created a drop down list, and we've used this table data here, the product prices table, and the drop down list. So quantity is going to be 2. So quantity is going to be 2. The unit price of the laptop is $300, and you can see that we used a VLOOKUP again based on B7, which is the product, on the table product prices, the second column, and false, which means you're looking for the exact value. And the next thing we do is we go to discount. We're going to determine if they get a discount. So if brackets B8, that's quantity, is less than 100, they don't get a discount. But if it's more than 100, then you take B9, that's the unit price, times 0.05 times B8, which is the quantity. So she doesn't get a discount because she's only ordered 2 items. But let's say hypothetically she ordered 101 items. So if she ordered 101 items, so she ordered, that was going to be 30,000 300 pounds if she ordered 101 laptops. So that meant that she gets a 5% discount, and a 5% discount of 30,300 is 1,515. So that means her total is 28,785 because she gets a 5% discount if she orders more than 100 or less, 100 or more. So let's just say 100. And then so basically to make it a nice even number, so she ordered 100, she gets a 5% discount of 1,500 pounds. So instead of paying 30,000 pounds, she's paying 28,500 pounds. But we're going to go back to 2 because it's a small hairdressing salon, so she doesn't need a lot of laptops, so she doesn't get a discount. And notes is going to be great. Or you can say, what we're going to say here is, okay, so now we've entered everything into the into this sales data entry sheet. But basically what you have to do is, after we've entered everything into the sales data entry sheet, you have to develop a way to save this data onto a table. And so I've created another table, but we're not really going to go deep into the table. I'm just going to show you how to do it, show you how to do it on the user level. And then basically what's going to happen is, I spent yesterday developing this data entry sheet and creating the table and creating the macro, but we're not going to cover the macro in this lesson. But what you're going to do is we're going to put a button in here, and we've called it Save Entry. So you click over here, and we're going to go into the data, and then we're going to say Flash Fill, Data Tools, Data Validation, and see if we're over here on Insert. Editing. Let's just see what was said here. Use the Developer tab, Insert a control by clicking Insert in the Controls group. So we're going to come over here to developer. So we're going to go into developer, we're going to insert, and here is your button. So we're going to click onto the button, but I'm not going to, well, we click onto the button, and then so basically we click onto the button, and then you can call it anything you want, and then you're going to say, we're going to say print message. Going to call the button print best message, and we're going to link it to print message, and then we're going to click on to OK, and then you can say here so we're going to print a message. We're going to edit the text, and then when we edit the text, we're going to make it bigger. So we're going to click on print message. We get a message that says this is a test message to see if macro works. And it works, goodney. And then also prints it on the spreadsheet. This is a test message to see if the macro works. So we've done all that. I'm going to try to delete it because I don't want it anymore. I'm going to cut it. So we've cut it. I just did that just to show you how to do it. So you do it in developers, and you do it insert, and then you insert a button there. So now we've come over here, now that I've shown you how to put a button in, we're going to save the entry. So I did this last night. I made the raw data yesterday. I made the data entry sheet yesterday. I made the table that's going to be saved into yesterday. So I'm going to click on to save entry and hope it works. So then what you would do, we're going to go into sales log, and you can see that it has been saved onto the table being 1 August 26, Betty Boop, West Region, Betty's Hair Salon, Windows Laptop 2 of 300, no discount, and Betty is the contact. But we're not going to actually cover the macros. The macros are going to be in lesson 10. But whenever you save the entry, it clears the screen. And it clears the screen to enable you to enter more data. And so basically, you're just going to have to put up with the NA errors, because the NA error is based on the fact that you're using data from another cell, and that data from the other cell has been cleared. So you're just going to have to put up with the NA error, but when you input new data, it will clear out. I did try putting a formula in there to make it blank if it cleared the error, but when it make it blank if it had an error, but when it made it blank if it had an error, that it also cleared out the formula. So you're just going to have to put up with NAs, and that's just letting you know that the formula is there. And so when you save the data, it goes into your sales log, and this is sales log. And so I spent all day yesterday working on it, working on the sales data sheet, and then working on the table that the data was going to be saved in, and then working on the macro. But that's the only thing we're going to cover in this lesson. In this lesson, only thing that we're covering is the data validation and form controls. We're not covering automation in this lesson, although we did do a little bit of data automation just so I could show you how the Save Entry button works. So that covers it for this lesson. I think what I'm going to do in the next lesson, I think the next lesson is supposed to be lesson 9. It's going to be intermediate charting and visualization. And so that's going to be interesting too. So I haven't made the course yet, haven't made the lesson yet. So you just have to wait and see what happens when I make the lesson. And then you already know that lesson 10 is going to be validation, because we're going to be covering the table that we've already created, and we're going to be going over the VBA code of the macro. One thing that I will say is in the lesson they call it a macro, but in VBA, it's called a module, but a macro and a module are used interchangeably. So thank you so much for watching this video, and I hope you decide to look at the videos for lesson 9 and 10, and those are the 2 remaining videos of this course. Hope you're getting something out of this course, and I will be communicating with you in the next video.